Hello everyone, I hope that you're having a great start of the week, and if you want to know what were the important news highlights of the previous week, as well as the macroeconomic insights and where the VCs are investing their capital, you're absolutely at the right place. Let's go right into it. And an important announcement for all of you that probably have Binance accounts. Binance will be converting all USDC and few other stablecoin balances to BUSD. Binance will be removing three major stablecoins from its product offering, including the Circle's USDC, Pax's USDP, as well as True USD. As per a notice issued to the users, Binance is planning to convert any of the existing balances of those stablecoins to its native stablecoin BUSD. So essentially, if right now you're holding any of those stables there, you don't need to do anything. They will be automatically converted on the 29th of September. But then if you prefer to continue holding the original pairs, then you probably need to withdraw them to a cold wallet. And as we have been following the Celsius case, we're here yet with another update. At the moment, 40 state regulators are opening Celsius books in search of a fraud. It is possible that Celsius misled investors about the state of its financial health, and this way basically baited them into leaving their funds on the platform. The Vermont Department of Financial Regulation alleged Wednesday that Celsius manipulated the price of its token and also used investors' deposit to boost its net position in those same tokens. Just a reminder, Celsius filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in July after a month-long battle to stay solvent following the Terrace collapse. And the court proceedings that followed have exposed that they had a $3 billion hole in their balance sheet. And as of the moment, roughly 100,000 creditors are also reportedly owed money by the lender after they lent the firm unsecured cash loans. And while talking about Celsius, here with some updates on another troubled creditor, Voyager. Voyager announced that it will liquidate its assets at an auction. The auction will be held on September 13th in New York. And the winning bidder will be announced 3 weeks after the auction. Holding an auction means that Voyager received more than one bid for its assets, and once the bidder is finalized, these are actually really good news because that's the first step for all the Voyager customers to recover their funds that are currently locked on the platform. Voyager hasn't disclosed which parties have shown interest in the bidding for the assets, but we know a few public offers that had been made. One of the offers was made jointly through Alameda Ventures and FTX in late July, but Voyager was quick to reject that proposal, claiming it's a lowball bid. Binance was another major player in the industry that expressed interest in Voyager's assets, while Coinbase reviewed an offer but finally pulled out of it. So 3 weeks after, we will actually know for sure who's the winning bidder. Aside from seeking a buyer, Voyager has been attempting to return some of the customers' funds already. Last month, it got court clearance to return $270 million to customers, and another $1.3 billion in digital assets of the company's platform will be distributed among creditors during the bankruptcy proceedings. And the last news we picked up about today is the Wall Street native dark pools that seem to be gaining traction in crypto as well. Enclave is launching a dark pool, claiming that they are seeing growing institutional interest for it. Dark pools simply mean matching buyers and sellers privately to execute their trades, not on chain. Currently, asset managers, hedge funds, and systematic trading firms are among those demanding this type of product, and companies like Ledger Prime, Republic Crypto, and FGP Capital were among the first to test that product on the Enclave's markets. Enclave is preparing to allow its whitelisted users also to trade such blocks of digital assets privately, which means that they're going to be traded off-chain and they're not going to be any track of it. And today in the macro section, I want to first go through something really interesting I found in the latest Pantera Capital report. It's actually a graph of the current real interest rates that are highly negative, more negative than expected. Real interest rate is basically the Fed funds rate taking into account the inflation. So if the interest rate is 5% but the inflation is, let's say, 10, you actually end up losing 5% per year instead of making any money on your deposit. The current real interest rates are way below the levels where the US economy entered a recession previously, and this seems really concerning. For the Fed to bring the real interest rates to a positive number will take way bigger hikes than what was anticipated already. from US moving to Europe and all the highlights that I had seen during the week. Europe is on the front lines of an energy crisis. Russia's state energy company Gazprom has halted the deliveries of gas through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. And Gazprom initially said that this will be a halt just for 3 days due to maintenance, but as of late last week it announced that the halt will be indefinite, which obviously will be causing energy crisis and it will be affecting the prices. So despite the recent decline in natural gas prices in Europe, electricity prices continue to soar. And this leads the EU leaders to discuss emergency measures to see how to manage that increase. Forward prices had already increased even further on the expectation of this disruption, and consequently the rise of the prices in electricity is causing that acceleration in overall inflation. EU reported annual inflation above 9% for August, and it is expected that this number will continue rising throughout the months ahead. And this is putting a lot of pressure on the European Central Bank to raise further the interest rates. And if everything else is equal, the inflation is higher in Europe than the United States. This will definitely lead to a further decline in the euro against dollar. The euro is trading below the parity for the first time in 20 years. European inflation accelerates, ECB is likely to tighten further, and we cannot go ahead without discussing the Jackson Hole, which is one of the most important economic events of the year. This is an event where most of the world's central bank leaders meet to discuss issues and exchange ideas. In terms of highlights of this year's Jackson Hole, the US Federal Reserve Chairman Paula made a very hawkish speech. The overall sentiment was also pretty hawkish, with similar comments coming from two of the leaders of the ECB. Moving to a last highlight from the US, the job growth decelerates a bit but remains strong. The US added another 350,000 jobs in the month of August, while participation in the labor force increased significantly faster than employment. This resulted in a very small increase in the unemployment rate. And here we are with my favorite section of the show, the VC deals. Both of the deals I picked up today are from the infrastructure sector. I can say I'm observing a slowdown in the metaverse and gaming and more shift of the sentiments toward infrastructure and DeFi. Fuel Labs is a really good example. They just announced an $80 million round to develop the fastest modular execution layer. Fuel Labs is developing a blockchain with maximum security in the Ethereum ecosystem. And currently they have 60 engineers working on developing it. The round was led by Blockchain Capital and has outstanding investors lineup such as Alameda Research, Coin Fund, Bain Capital, and Spartan, as well as few other very prominent VCs. And we see the future being where the execution is separated from data availability and consensus, so Fuel shows great timing to build such execution layers on top of modular blockchains. And the second deal, as we already earlier said, the investment in Web3 doesn't dry up, it changes direction. So we keep seeing infrastructure investment throughout the week in different series. Eastern Labs just closed a $300 million round, which was led by FTX. Eastern Labs are the developer of the Sui Layer 1 blockchain, and this Series B round led them to evaluation. Thank you so much for watching. We really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did so, please let us know by liking, commenting, or subscribing. And if there is anything else that you would like to see, anything you would like to share with us, feel free to write it down in the comments. Wishing you a great week ahead.